It's 1:31 p.m., so we'll call the meeting of Transportation Environment Committee to order. We'll start with roll call, please.
Councilmember Salas, absent. Councilmember Campos, absent. Councilmember Ortiz.
Present.
Foley.
Here.
Chair Cohen.
Here.
Thank you.
And since our computer systems are down, we'll be voting voice vote today when we need to accept reports. We are going to go right to item D1, which is our first committee report from, this is the semi-annual report from Climate Smart. So I think, Sina, you're going to start us off? Or?
I will kick us off.
Okay.
My name is Julie Benavente. I'm the Deputy Director for the Climate Smart Division in the Environmental Services Department. I'm joined today by Sina Ektarar Shenis, as well as Kate Ziemba. Sina is from my team, Kate is from the Energy Department, and Ramses is from the Department of Transportation. We're proud to be here to present the Climate Smart San Jose Plan semi-annual update, highlighting the vital progress and momentum we've built in advancing the city's climate goals. This will be an update covering the September 2024 through the February 2023 reporting period, and I'll pass off to Sina to kick us off.
Thank you, Julie. Today we'll give a quick background on Climate Smart, provide updates on Climate Smart core activities, community engagement, and programs and policies, and look at what we have in the works on the horizon. So some context on Climate Smart. Briefly, who we are, what we do. Climate Smart San Jose was a plan that was approved in 2018. A climate emergency was declared by Council in 2019, and by November 2021, City Council adopted a resolution setting a carbon neutrality by 2030 goal. In June 2022, Council adopted Pathway to Carbon Neutrality by 2030, identifying 4 key strategies. Strategy 1 focused on zero-emission vehicles. Strategy 2 focused on reducing vehicle miles traveled by 20%. 3, electrifying appliances. And lastly, the 4th key strategy, carbon neutral electricity, which means ensuring our electric supply is sourced from 100% carbon-free sources. It's helpful to know that Climate Smart is part of the Environmental Services Department. We collaborate across the city with staff leading, facilitating, and supporting climate mitigation initiatives to ensure a unified, citywide approach to achieving our carbon neutrality goals. This next slide is going to show some funding and resources. Climate Smart staff work with many departments to go after private, state, and federal funding support to support our initiatives. Since July, the city has secured over $1.1 million in new funding, with $23 million pending execution. This includes support for transportation-focused projects like EV charging in East San Jose, new charging infrastructure, and extreme heat resiliency efforts. Our energy, environmental services, and transportation teams are leading the way on these grants. As you can see on the slide here, during this reporting period alone, staff applied for over $67 million, and we're planning to pursue another $8 million next reporting period. This next slide is going to show some highlights, which include the San Jose Climate Chronicles, the Electric Home Tour, and equitable mobility initiatives. So we launched the San Jose Climate Chronicles newsletter in October 2024. It focuses on increased engagement with San Jose residents, highlighting local climate action in the city, and provides opportunities and resources that support the city's climate goals. This newsletter was sent to 1,870 people, and this is a subscriber email list that we try to promote through social media to gain new subscribers before each issue. So we offer this newsletter in 3 languages, which include English, Spanish, and Vietnamese. Now the next highlight is going to be the Electric Home Tour, which is sponsored by San Jose Clean Energy. This one's pretty interesting. We had 730 people tour these homes. These homes made the switch to electrify. And 31% of the 730 attendees expressed high interest in adopting heat pump HVAC systems and heat pump water heaters within the next 3 years. And lastly, equitable mobility initiatives. These include 2 areas. First one being the Mobility Wallet pilot, and 2, the Microtransit grant. So the Mobility Wallet pilot is a $1.3 million initiative scheduled for summer 2025. These are monthly transportation subsidies that will help offset the cost of regional public transit, things like Amtrak, Greyhound, Uber, and Lyft, e-scooters and bike share, and so on. So the Mobility Wallet pilot is intended for transit-dependent families in East San Jose. The second one, the Microtransit grant. So DOT submitted a $3.5 million grant application to fund a microtransit pilot program in East San Jose. Now passing to DOT.
Thank you. Ramses Madhu, Division Manager Planning in DOT. So getting our vehicle miles reduced by 20% is quite a big feat, right? And to be able to do this, we need to take actions at a lot of different levels at the same time, right? One, working with the community to make programs that actually work for people is kind of primary, and getting this mobility wallet, and that's part of the East San Jose Equity Project, which does not only the mobility wallet, but many other things, like getting education out there, getting more folks involved in the active mobility economy through training folks, being able to get into running bike shops or repairing bikes, things like that. It also takes reshaping our streets, right? Every inch of our street is as a statement of value. What do we want to do with that inch of the street, right? And the more we can accommodate bikeways and other modes of getting around, the more we're able to support that. Now, there's also many other values we have to balance out with that. But in the last year, we were able to add 7.4 miles of new bikeways and upgrade a bunch of our older bikeways into our new standards per the bike plan that we have on hand at the moment. We're also really working to create the ability for folks to use other modes even if they don't own them, right? So making those bike share systems expand. We've been working with MTC and Lyft to add about 500 new e-bikes and 32 new stations, spreading out mostly to the east side, spreading that service area out and covering so much more of the city, and bringing folks into that. Some other elements are also about managing things better. Making sure that we're able to take our assets and use them to the best we can. So we were able to, using federal grants, launch a curb management pilot that's downtown, that's giving us data on the actual usage and allowing us to build transaction models on top of that to better manage our curb space, allowing that curb space to be used in a more proactive way. And also on the management side, we've just finished a data subscription and are about to finish a contract for large-scale analytics that allow us to look at a lot of different metrics across the city. You may have heard of this as part of the Move San Jose piece, and it's called the Decision Support System, and we'll be reporting that out to you annually, actually, at this body. I believe it's in the last meeting before June, or the July recess. We'll be talking about that. So really excited to see this, changing our streets, changing our management practices, changing the city over to this vision. Pass it back over.
Thank you. Good afternoon. Kate Ziemba, Senior Environmental Program Manager with the Energy Department. So we'll start with some updates on 3 EV charging programs run by the Energy Department. Through the California Electric Vehicle Infrastructure Project Rebate Program, participants have installed 197 level 2 and 32 fast chargers. This is 50 more ports during this operational period as projects rush to get finished before the deadline by the end of the year. In October, we launched a new multifamily EV charger incentive pilot. And so far, 11 properties have reserved about $280,000 in rebate incentives for 78 level 2 ports. Finally, we have an RFO out for our fast charging hubs pilot, and we're seeking a developer to install and operate 4 to 7 hubs at libraries and community centers in areas with little to no charging infrastructure. In terms of energy supply, in 2025, SJCE customers are receiving 62% renewable energy at 8% lower rates than PG&E on average. We're continued to invest in new renewable energy and reliability resources, and so far we've contracted for over 1 gigawatt of resources. And we're also on track to offer 100% carbon neutral electricity as a base option by 2030. At the end of 2024, the Energy Department sunset 2 energy efficiency programs that were funded by the CPUC. Our residential program offered discounts on home appliances and free energy saving items to income qualified customers. In total, customers bought 281 appliances and ordered 1,056 energy saving items. Our commercial program provided rebates on HVAC and refrigeration improvements to 778 businesses. And in total, the 2 programs achieved $11 million in customer savings and avoided 35 million kilowatt hours of energy. In December, we launched a heat pump incentive program for SJCE residential customers called Eco Home Rebate and Eco Home Payment Plan. As of February, 325 customers reserved or received more than $1.2 million in rebates, and 25% of the rebates have been paid out to customers in environmental justice communities. We are on track to achieve our goal of installing 500 heat pumps by the end of the fiscal year. The payment plan program provides zero interest on-bill financing up to $5,000. We have 14 approved payment plans with customers. And then finally, we continue to add contractors to our Eco Home network. And I'll now pass it back to Sina.
Thank you, Kate. So EHSJ is pretty similar to EcoHome. So EHSJ, or Electric Home San Jose. Electric Home San Jose funded over 162 project measures, which include 65 heat pump HVAC systems and 9 heat pump water heaters. There were 56 project sites. This rebate program helped fund 53, which went to single-family households, and 3 were multifamily properties. It was over $250,000 that were paid out in incentives. Approximately 30%, or 28% to be exact, was dedicated to equity communities. And we define equity communities as defined by Cal EPA's Disadvantaged Communities Census Tract map. Cool fact is the most common electrification measure was the switch to a heat pump HVAC. And then for beyond benchmarking, this is part of the city's Energy and Water Building Performance Ordinance, or BPO, and it applies to a set of buildings every 5 years and requires those buildings to meet energy and water efficiency standards. So this was the second year of beyond benchmarking requirements, and you can see the numbers up there. It was 380 buildings out of 1,790. The compliance rates were 85% for annual benchmarking and 59% for beyond benchmarking. Looking ahead, so between March and August 2025, the items on the slide here, we're expected to reach these milestones in the next reporting period, and some of these items are for City Council consideration. And that will conclude it. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much for the report. Do we have any members of the public on this item?
Yes, we have one request to speak. Diane, please make your way down to the podium. You will have 2 minutes.
Good afternoon. My name is Diane Solomon, and I'm here on behalf of your BPAC, Bicycle and Pedestrian Advisory Committee. We appreciate our city's climate-smart goals for energy, water, transportation, and local jobs. Last month, we submitted a comment about San Jose clean energy programs with our recommendation for the budget priorities that are needed to improve safety on our city streets. Please enable our city's upcoming budget to fund the programs that have a proven record of reducing carbon emissions, that improve air quality, that reduce other pollutants, and reduce the gasoline and electricity that's used to power motorized vehicles. These are the Vision Zero program, the annual Bikeways program, Better Bike Plan 2025, Transit First, Vehicle Miles Traveled goals, and the programs that maintain our bikeways, trails, and pedestrian safety accommodations. These programs not only get us closer to carbon neutrality, these programs enable individuals of all ages and abilities to walk, wheelchair, and bicycle safely within our city. Today, we remind you of the following. In November 2021, our City Council set a goal of community-wide carbon neutrality by 2030, thereby accelerating our city's Climate Smart program. At this November 2021 meeting, our council members also approved the initiative called Pathway to Carbon Neutrality by 2030. And just reminding you again, as our presenters did, this 2030 is only 5 years from now. Thank you for your consideration.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. Councilmember Ortiz, we'll start with you.
Thank you, Chair. I also want to thank everyone in the box for the presentation. I always appreciate the opportunity to learn from DOT, ESD, Climate Smart, Clean Energy, about just what the city's doing in order to make sure that we're, ready for the future and making sure that we're going to have a Earth to pass on to our next generation. So I really appreciate the work that's being done, both before I was on the council and the work that's being done now. I especially want to elevate the language regarding the application for MTC, the grant, specifically for the charging stations in Eastside San Jose. I think that'll be vital, especially as federal funds are being frozen. So crossing my fingers with that. Hopefully we'll see. I do have a question, very, very straightforward question in regards to the mobility wallet pilot. I know that I was looking in there, and essentially the mobility wallet pilot will be providing subsidies for different types of public transit, e-scooters, bike share programs. I wanted to ask, given our goal is to reduce vehicles miles traveled, is it kind of counterproductive to also include those sort of subsidies for ride shares or apps? Or what were the thoughts behind including that?
Yeah, thanks for the great question, Council Member. Research shows that those who use those app-based transportation solutions actually are less likely to own a vehicle and are more likely to take more trips outside of a vehicle. So if someone is using those app-based services, they're less likely to own a car. And if they're less likely to own a car, they're less likely to add VMT over the general collection of all of their trips, right? You have to kind of look at all needs. And sometimes people need things, right? Sometimes they need to get to school with their kids, or sometimes they need to get to a place that transit doesn't take them or is outside of bike's reach, right? So when we try to do these things, we want to provide for the totality of needs within the transportation piece. And this one does show reduction in overall VMT when these things are used.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate the science behind that. Thank you. That's it.
All right, thank you. Vice Mayor.
Thank you. Thank you for the presentation. Always good to hear where we're going and how we're improving our EV charging stations. And I like to hear that we're looking at creating partnerships with people who can install these at libraries and community centers. Where do we stand there?
Thank you for the question. We have an RFO out right now for the developers. It's closing Friday, and so we'll be reviewing those offers.
Okay. So it'll take a few months before it actually comes back to council with a proposal.
We received council approval to negotiate and execute.
Okay, great. Thank you. I do have some concerns about the grant funds. I know we're looking at MTC, and we have some funding grants from the federal government. How much of the funds are with the federal government, and how sure are we that we're going to get the grants that are already awarded? And as an alternative, are there other sources of grants available for these projects?
Maybe I'll start out, and then if you guys want to jump in. Yes, the federal funding transition and the freeze of some of the funding is definitely a concern and impacting several of our grants. So from the awarded grants that we have, out of the 23 million, approximately 22 million is federal funding. So that's quite a bit. And then also from the submitted grants that we had, I think there was about 78% of that, which was the 52 million out of the 67 million is federal funding. And then for some of the forthcoming ones, the 8 million that we're planning to submit for, about 30% or 2.5 million is federal funding. So each of these has their own kind of issues with them. So for example, ones that we already have, like the EECBG is one of them, which is already underway. I don't know if we can ever say 100% but we have a lot more certainty around those ones where it's an allocation of funding and it's coming from particular sources that are of less concern that there will be a freeze on. However, some of the ones that we have outstanding have kind of gone dark, to be honest, in terms of whether they'll move forward. We've gotten to the point where we've done negotiations and we're basically just waiting for contracts on that 22 million that were awarded but have not been fully executed. And so those impact things like a planned policy for looking at the building performance standard, which other cities in the Bay Area also have pending awards. San Francisco and Berkeley was one that we were partnering with on that. And then there's also a large transportation grant that I know that you guys are waiting for as well to see whether that comes forth. So it's a significant impact just from those numbers alone. And some of it we don't have the answer to, right? But we are looking at other sources of funding in terms of like private endowments and just trying to pursue those sources like state grants that are moving forward, that we haven't executed fully, but are moving forward for contract. And so we'll continue to pursue anything that comes forward on that side as well. So I don't know if you guys have anything else.
I'll just add DOT is basically the same situation. Some are moving, some aren't. There was a memo put out by the Transportation Secretary saying get some of these things out, Secretary of Transportation saying get some of these things out. We haven't really seen movement on it yet. We're hoping to start seeing it. So we'll see, but some of them are called, the government-to-government grant for social or for environmental justice. There's a lot of words in there that make other people uncomfortable. So we'll see which ones we get and which ones we won't. Luckily, we live in a state that cares about these issues, and there continues to be ample state and regional funds that do push in this direction. And 4 years ago it was similar. So we were still able to produce and deliver projects under the last time this kind of thing happened. So we're keeping our fingers crossed.
So you're not encouraged at the federal level, which I think no one's encouraged or comfortable at the federal level, but at the state level, you're comfortable that there's some funding that might be available for us, Ramses?
Yes, yeah, I mean, a lot of our funding for climate-focused transportation actions comes from state and regional funds already. And so there's a lot of funds there. It's not as big and as wide as it could be, but it's still there.
Okay, good. So I have questions about the better bike path when we come back later in this committee. Thank you. I do have a question about the mobility wallet. I really like that idea, but you didn't mention VTA. You mentioned Uber and Lyft and e-bikes and e-scooters, but VTA was not a component in that. Are we partnering with VTA on that?
Yeah, that's an oversight in the writing. Eco passes are part of the
okay.
program.
I think that's really important. All right. And how is that? How do we get the word out about those funds, and how do we allocate them?
There are processes of finding those folks. We're really looking for folks who are already getting public assistance and things like that. I actually have to talk to the program manager to know exactly what we're doing. I can't give you an exact answer on that. And then the allocation will be done through the overall grant program.
So have we started that program yet?
We're just booting it up, so we're not ready yet. Yeah.
Okay. And then I have a question about the electrification of appliances with the ban on gas water heaters as of 2027 and furnaces as of 2029. There's a concern that an elderly couple on fixed income who lives in an old home won't be able, and then their water heater goes out, in 2027, that they won't be able to fund the replacement of electric water heaters. So are there sources of funding to assist? Are we looking at sources, or is there state or federal funding? Or this is a state policy, so are there state funds?
Thank you. That's a great question. And we are concerned too. And so we're working with a group of community choice aggregators in the Bay Area to advocate with the Bay Area Air District about their rules, to look and see if there could be a carve out for financial hardship, and to also identify sources to scale financing and funding. We will, with council approval, recommend offering the rebate program into subsequent years and look into developing a program that further aids those with low incomes.
Oh, okay, I appreciate that. Are we reaching out to partners who may, or stakeholders, I should say, who may have access to homeowners, such as the realtors, who may get, as a former realtor, I'd get called all the time, hey, my water heater's out, who do you recommend that I can replace it? So are we reaching out to them to figure out a program that they might be able to reach out? Because they're the ones who really, in many cases, the front lines with the property owners.
Yes, CCAs are organizing around not just realtors and landlords, but contractors especially.
Right. Good. Okay. Thank you. I support the electrification, but I'm concerned about the rollout with people who are on fixed income. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for raising that important point, and that's why I've been talking about programs to be proactive about going out and evaluating ahead of time who's going to need extra assistance and make sure the assistance is available. And that kind of raises a good point that we ought to publicize at some point, set up some kind of helpline or something for that, so that when this happens, people, we can offer a rebate, we can offer a financing plan, but if people don't know that it exists, then that won't help anyone. Or if people don't know how to quickly, because people, when they need the replacement, need it quickly. Yep. So we have to make sure that people will have that direct access immediately when they need it to quickly set up the financing and the rebate that they need once we, in 2 weeks on Earth Day, approve the moving forward with the programs that are being proposed by Clean Energy. Yes. So anyway, back to the funding question. I was going to ask similar questions about federal funding. Obviously, a lot's at risk. Maybe we can't get into these details now, but are we having conversations with others who are going to be victimized by this about what our legal recourse might be? And money's been approved and allocated based on preset criteria that now the administration is saying they don't believe in, but the criteria existed and we followed them. So we should be able to take some legal action to make sure we receive the money that we've been promised.
Hi, Council Member. Thank you. Steve Stamos with the city's intergovernmental relations team. We are actively monitoring what other cities are doing and looking at our options. Speaking with our federal lobbyist and our federal delegation, we're looking for the opportunities to push back, potentially legally, but I can't speak to any particular specifics at this point. I don't know if the city attorney's office would like to add anything, but.
It's right now, so much is in the air, and there's been nothing conclusive on any specific grants. When we get actually conclusive facts about what's going on with regard to any specific grant, then we'll be in a better position to evaluate what our legal recourse would be at that point in time.
Yeah, I just want to make sure that we're proactively preparing for that moment, because we know it's coming. And by the way, there are some grants that have already been clawed back. We were just talking, Councilmember Ortiz and I were just talking about a grant that the city had received to do environmental work and tree plantings and vegetation cleanup at Alum Rock and Overfelt Parks. That's been pulled back specifically because, according to their explanation, because they were for climate and environmental justice, they're no longer going to give us the money that we had reached out for. So it seems to me that if we had received promise of money under a grant proposal where we had followed all the rules of the grant, which said that it should be for climate and environmental justice, then we should be able to file a lawsuit of some kind or get involved in some legal action that would try to compel the government to give us that money.
I absolutely agree, and this will all have to be looked at on a case-by-case basis.
And I don't
but
want to tip our hands on the legal discussion at this public setting, but I think we ought to at least be thinking about that.
Yeah, thanks, John. And just to further, things are going on in parallel. So while that planning, I'll just say generally, while planning for something we're expecting to happen, unfortunately, is in the early stages, we're also looking at other forms of funding to make sure that the service delivery, and we're keeping up with that in addition to looking at our options on the legal front.
Right. And from other, obviously, we ought to be looking specifically at the climate bond, which I know everybody's trying to get pieces of, but I'm assuming that the teams are looking into that climate bond because this is directly relevant work that voters, I think, were supportive of when they passed the bond last year. Was that microtransit grant that was listed, is that a federal grant?
The microtransit grant is a state and regional grant, and there's a VTA one that we're applying for as
Okay,
well.
so that one is not dependent on the federal government.
Well,
funding.
how do you say? There is much regional money that's actually state money, there's actual federal money,
Okay.
so
there's-
the trickle down may disrupt things, but yeah, not so far.
All right, thank you. I'll ask for a motion to accept this report.
So moved.
Second.
All right. No other comments, so let's, oh yeah. All in favor, say aye.
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 That vote carries 3-0. All right, we're on to the second item, which is the BART Silicon Valley Extension Status Report. More good funding news, I'm sure. This is more for the folks who aren't on PTA, but there's only two of them missing.
Good afternoon. My name is Jessica Zank, Deputy Director for the Department of Transportation. And Alice Aun on my team is going to very briefly kick this off and then turn it over to our guests from Valley Transportation Authority.
Good afternoon, committee. City staff provide an annual report on the BART extension project to this committee every year, in addition to quarterly updates. Staff have provided a written memo for this committee meeting. We have VTA here with us today, so they're going to deliver the presentation. So I will turn it over to Erica Rokes.
Good afternoon, council members. I'm Erica Rokes, the Interim Director of External Affairs for the BART Silicon Valley program. Sorry, went too far. VTA's BART Phase 2 project is a 6-mile extension with 4 stations, starting from the Berryessa North San Jose Station, which opened in 2020, where it will go over, it will dive into a tunnel and go underneath US 101 with 3 stations with underground boarding platforms and above ground fare gates, and curves around to daylight north of 880 with an at-grade station at the Santa Clara station. This extension will ring the bay, complete the ring of the bay with rapid frequent rail. This project is the largest of its kind in Santa Clara County and has unprecedented local and state support, making up over half of the funding sources. In August of 2024, we received notice from FTA that we entered into the New Starts engineering phase of the Federal Investment Grant Program with an award of nearly $5.1 billion. We're very excited about that, but that was not exactly the amount that we were requesting, so now we are working to align the project scope with the available funding to close the gap there. We're exploring some up to $100 million in non-local funding sources through some additional grants we're waiting to hear back from, and going through an extensive cost savings effort. 3 main considerations of our program at this point are to work through our cost savings to align the project scope with the funding that we have available, closing a gap of $700 million to $1.2 billion. To work with our current contractors and the contracting industry to determine the ability for us to move forward with a project that we can afford and build. So not only with those we're working with now, but we're doing industry outreach to
have discussions with various contractors to get a better understanding of requirements that we could both move forward with together. And in addition, we need a path forward to signing the full funding grant agreement with FTA. So once we received word of our New Start's federal grant, investment grant amount, we started a cost savings effort to reduce the cost of the project. We're now calling level 1 is what we initially started with and worked on the first through the end of last year. Working with BART, we were able to change some design criteria and reduce the cost there. We were able to convert the parking spaces, providing the same number of spaces at the 28th Street Little Portugal parking BART station with surface spaces instead of in a garage. We were able to work with city staff and stakeholders to refine the station design with passenger experience at the forefront of our mind. And we've met several times with community groups, our community working groups and various stakeholders, and it's been well received. I'll show you some graphics in a minute. And after that time in December, then we continued advancing in what we're calling level 2 to develop multidisciplinary task forces to further study and advance further refinements. In addition, we have just kicked off advancing what we're calling level 3, and we'll have more details in the coming months on that. This here is a conceptual rendering of the 28th Street station. You can see it's a rounded head house, above ground station entrance building, and there's a plaza in the foreground. This is a view from the corner of 5 Wounds Lane and 28th Street, adjacent to Cristo Rey High School. This here is a conceptual rendering of the iconic downtown San Jose station. You can see some future buildings in the back. VTA has developed a design development framework for future transit-oriented development, both at the 28th Street station that we saw in the previous slide, as well as downtown. And here's the Diridon station, which is located across from SAP Center. You see there's a D-shaped station entrance building here. We worked in an effort with the city to provide availability for future transit-oriented development just to the right off, to the south of the station entrance, which is to the right off of the page, which would be directly across from the future Caltrain station. Here there will be fare gates on Cahill, Montgomery, as well as on Santa Clara Street, and this is the view looking from Cahill. And lastly, we have the Santa Clara station. Here, which is our above ground station, where we'll be providing 500 parking spaces. We went through a significant effort with engagement with various stakeholders to work on the design of this station moving forward. So in addition to cost savings, there's a lot of different things going on the project. In the fall of last year, we developed this schedule as all of our design milestones, construction, our engagement, board decisions that need to be made, and milestones are all interrelated. A couple of key items to highlight here were we had a workshop with FTA and our project management oversight consultant in December and got confirmation that the cost savings that we had identified at that time in level 1 are within the NEPA guardrails. We're moving forward with those. The VTA board approved the construction of the launch structure at the west portal, which I'll get into in a minute, so that construction is underway. The areas that are in the green dash are areas that are uncertain and we know have some flexibility and may move. And so we're working through, based on to advance everything that we can that's within our power to be ready to apply for an FFGA when all of those 3 program considerations that I mentioned earlier are all aligned. I'm just going to show here with some animation the interconnectedness of all of the different aspects here that have to take place in order to mobilize the tunnel contractor to start the heavy construction and the tunneling. As I mentioned, we started construction in spring of last year. The area in yellow is VTA's new haul yard facility that's located on the east side of the rail corridor between Brokaw Road and down Newhall Drive by PayPal Park. Construction has been going on for the past year, early construction activities and construction of the launch structure, which is the area shown in purple on the screen, is kicked off and will be ramping up with extended work hours in May. There will be a temporary noise curtain, that's the blue line on the screen, that will be installed to help support the residences on the west side of the rail corridor for those extended work hours. There will be truck traffic on the roadways, Brokaw, Coleman, and Newhall. These are the same as what San Jose City Council approved in June of 2023. We will continue to work with the cities on future construction transportation management plans as we're ready to advance that work. A couple highlights from our recent construction. We installed a courtesy screen adjacent to the San Jose Earthquakes practice field. And the contractor has installed wheel wash systems to ensure that their track out onto the street does not include a lot of mud and debris. They currently have street sweepers as well, but now they also have 2 wheel wash systems. Wanted to give an update on planned demolition, knowing that there are some very key sporting events happening in the city of San Jose in 2026. We will be postponing the demolition of the 2 buildings in purple, the Chase Bank and the Gold Rock building, until late 2026. But we'll proceed with the demolition of the Gross & Holmes building and the Good Life building in 2025. BTA has provided funds to the San Jose Downtown Association for their beautification effort, and we're working actively already on beautification of the Gold Rock and the Chase Banks buildings. Last, wanted to touch on our Thriving Business Program. We're working with the Office of Economic Development in developing, in coordination with them, to develop a program that supports small businesses during construction based on lessons learned from other case studies and various economic analysis. It has 3 different areas: the Eat Shop Local, which is a marketing campaign to encourage foot traffic; a local resource network where we'll partner with community-based organizations to provide financial and technical assistance; and direct financial assistance to eligible small businesses. VTA board approved an authorization of $3 million per year for 5 years for the Thriving Business Program overall to assist small businesses during construction. And a small business, the definition of a small business is consistent with the city's definition of a small business, of having 35 full-time employees or less operating with a business license within the city. We will be kicking off our Eat Shop Local marketing campaign in the Newhall area later this summer. And the other, as we get closer to construction in the other areas, we will kick them off in the other areas as well. And we are continuing to advance the local resource network and the direct financial assistance programs. And we'll be going out with a series of surveys that we have vetted the information with our small business task force as well as our community working groups to gather information in preparation for this. With that, happy to take any questions.
All right, thank you so much for the report. Do we have any public comment?
Yes, we have 2 requests to speak. Diane and Jordan, please make your way down to the podium. You will have 2 minutes.
Again, good afternoon. I'm Diane Solomon here on behalf of your Bicycle and Pedestrian Advisory Committee. We support and look forward to the extension of the BART system through downtown San Jose to the city of Santa Clara. We wholeheartedly appreciate the heroic effort this team is making to get the funding needed to keep this project on track. Please ensure that during the tunneling of the extension, there's minimal disruption to our underserved neighborhoods' traffic lights, bikeways, and crosswalks, and that this project's interactions with our city's pedestrians, wheelchair riders, and bicyclists are as safe as possible. Last August, Grant Brokel and Aaron Sheelan gave us an update. We learned that bike lanes, a shared use path, and bicycle facilities will be key elements of the new stations, as well as making sure that these stations' interactions with their adjacent roads will be as safe as possible. We appreciate that intersection signal improvements will be made at the new BART stations to facilitate pedestrian access. Elevators will be large enough to accommodate cargo bikes, and all stations will have 190 to 270 bike parking stations. Given the new budgeting constraints, we ask you to do whatever is needed to ensure that these elements remain part of this project. If this isn't being done already, we ask that the Reimagining Santa Clara Street initiative be coordinated with VTA on the timeline and construction of the Deer Station. Please enable BART Silicon Valley stations by bicycle parking areas to resemble the train stations our members have visited in other nations. On weekdays, they have many hundreds of commuters parking their bicycles at them. We respectfully request that every effort be made to connect bikeways from our city's most traveled streets to BART's new stations, and more bicycle parking either be added to these stations or adjacent to these stations. Because these stations will connect commuters to Amtrak, Caltrain, and VTA options, safe waymaking to these stations and adequate bicycle parking will convert many motorists from stressful bumper-to-bumper work commutes to a greener transportation option and will help our city achieve its climate smart plan goals. Thank you for consideration and attention.
Thank you. Next speaker.
Hi, Jordan Moldow here speaking on my own behalf. Thank you, staff, for the report. Definitely excited to see BART coming through San Jose soon and excited about the potential cost savings. I wanted to talk a little bit more about the pedestrian and bicycle circulation plans. Again, as Diane mentioned, we hope that a lot of pedestrian and bicyclists will access the station, and as part of that, they're going to need to cross the street or bike through parts of downtown. And so as part of that, we want to make sure that the areas within a certain vicinity have really excellent pedestrian infrastructure and really excellent bicycle infrastructure. And I know that that is being planned for sure. Just wanted to mention it to make sure that we keep the eye on the ball. I know that in Santa Clara, the city of Santa Clara, I believe they have some sort of working group. I don't know if it's their BPAC or if it's a separate group, but they have a group that is constantly looking at the on-the-street circulation plans for the Santa Clara station. And so my ask would that to be able to get the citizens involved in that in San Jose as well. Looking at our Berryessa station, they definitely have good pedestrian and bicycle access, but it could have been great bicycle and pedestrian access. And I'd like to make sure that for the new stations, we have great access. So just hope that the council and staff will consider bringing the pedestrian and bicycle community more involved in that. And then finally, just to elaborate on the bicycle parking, yes, BART, you can take your bicycle on board, which is great, but they don't necessarily have room on board for everyone, and you definitely want to make sure that the people have priority in the BART cars as opposed to bicycles. So if we have a lot of bicycle parking, that does enable a particular transportation mode that we wouldn't have otherwise. Thank you.
Back to the committee.
All right, thank you so much. And many of us may have different definitions of the word soon, but we are excited about the idea of BART coming. Let's start with Vice Mayor Foley.
You used my line.
Oh, I'm sorry,
I thank you for the presentation. This is a presentation we receive as a BART director. We receive updates on BART Phase 2 regularly, and I appreciate the optimism of the Bicycle Coalition, but I feel soon is not soon, and it's a relative term. I'm more concerned about the funding gap we have of 700 to 1.2 million, and the whether the funds that have already been somewhat committed to us, not completely committed to us from the federal government, whether they'll actually come through. So I appreciate the report and the update, and I do appreciate your enthusiasm. It's as a director, we get a lot of negative thoughts or information about BART, so to hear your positive looking forward on BART and the bike lanes makes me centered a little bit and makes me think, okay, this can really happen. So we need BART, we need it to happen, we need it to be successful, and we need it to be successful for all of our commuters and benefit our small businesses as well. So with that, I will move acceptance of the report.
Second.
All right, thank you. Councilmember Ortiz.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you, Vice Mayor, for your comments. As someone who's not, I don't sit on BART or I don't sit on VTA, I may have less insight into some of these. discussions. Before I go into my questions, I do want to show my appreciation that we are taking into consideration how small businesses will be impacted. As Jessica knows, that's a major concern of mine, and I have a long history of working with VTA and just to get support for small businesses. So I wanted to ask, I saw some language in the presentation and through the memo in regards to that. How did we come to, I guess, the number? I think you're saying up to 10,000 per business, I think, possibly 10,000 per business. What thought went into that?
That was done based on some case studies and the current definition of the project, with various aspects in surveying and such went into determining that amount.
Okay, case studies and how? If you could just share a little insight into that.
Evaluating from other case studies of other programs that have implemented a business interruption fund, evaluating, looking into those studies, and there was a report done, a study done to evaluate, to determine how we received it, how we landed on that.
It'd be good for us to be able to look at those studies. And, I'm just concerned about just understanding how construction happens, and there's how we want it to happen, and then the reality of how it actually happens, and just having seen and experienced construction disruption for small businesses, a lot of the harm is way over $10,000. And so I'm just trying to think, like, are we trying to make them whole? Are we just trying to give them some number that was generated? Like, I'm trying to get, I guess, a little bit more concrete data that supports that number.
Yes, can definitely follow up with more concrete data for you.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, if I might very briefly, just to add to what Erica said about the definition or the scope of the project, I think it is important that as VTA has worked through this question of what is the appropriate compensation, they are looking at what is the potential impact on businesses with these construction methodologies, and most of those are very intentionally off-street rather than infringing on the public right-of-way. So I just wanted to bring that up because it may not have been clear that that is part of the thinking, and if anything were to change for a business where really the public right-of-way was much more disrupted than is anticipated in these case studies, that assumption would have to change commensurately.
Okay, so there could be an opportunity for another discussion if there are a more sizable impact to the businesses. Okay, because in my historical organizing experience, a lot of these impacts aren't as easily measured, right? If there's a lot of construction on the street, people aren't going to go to those businesses anymore at all. Why am I going to go to Alum Rock, or why am I going to go to, that's where they're building everything? I'm going to go to Eastridge, or I'm going to go somewhere where I could easily get out of my car. It's not going to take me 30 minutes to find parking. And then I would say if whole groups of people are avoiding that area, it's easy to say that impact would be way over $10,000. And so I just want to make sure that this number isn't arbitrary, and that we're actually looking at data and the impact that each small business is experiencing, because I love transportation. I want this to happen, but I don't want my entire community erased for these public transportation opportunities. Next, I wanted to just ask, going back to me not being on VTA, me not being on BART, and with our new federal administration, who they are, what their funding priorities are, which obviously isn't the same as what the state of California and what we're doing here is, like, I guess, how are we thinking about this, like, feasibility? Is this changing our timeline? Are we, like, going back and readjusting what our next steps are going to be? How are we responding to that, I guess?
Yeah, so we've received some advice from our lobbyists, and as I mentioned, there's the 3 program considerations. We've got to close the gap in our funding. We've got to ensure that we can build the job with the contractor. So we're working through all of those, taking the advice seriously about when's the right time to apply for our FFGA within the New Starts program. So we're working through that, trying to figure that out at this time.
In order to make this feasible, are we relying on federal funding? Like, we can't do it unless we get federal funding?
Correct.
So then we may not move forward for another 4 years then. There could be, worst case scenario.
We don't know what will happen, but okay. I mean, it is a standard program that. capital investment
There's a
grant
lot of,
program.
they just
that-
demolished the Department of Education. There's a lot of standard stuff that are
That's true,
getting.
very true.
Yeah.
Yes,
but-
we don't.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, all right.
No
That
crystal ball, unfortunately.
That sets things into perspective for me. I appreciate it. Thank you. That's all my questions.
I saw the light come on. Did you want to say something? Yes.
Well, I was just going to make it clear because it's not normally, that conversation we were having during the last report about a grant award and then a grant that is agreed to and obligated, that is where this project is, right? It was awarded technically the $5.1 billion, but it does not have the contract, the grant agreement. So just for anybody, I think that's an important analogy to kind of our normal process. So wanted to make sure that was clear. Thank you.
Thank you for that. And I won't, since I sit on the VTA board and I've been very, very vocal about my views on counting on this money, I won't say it anymore in here except to say I'm not counting on this money. Yeah. We won't have it, but I'm hopeful that in 4 years there will be some attempt to make whole all these agencies and parts of the country that are being destroyed in these 4 years, and that we can count on it later. So that just leaves me my only question I want to ask today. On the slide with the timeline, you had a little animation with the boxes that showed the checkpoints, and I saw that the FFGA is considered a checkpoint before starting construction. That's probably been the current direction that the board has given as far as what to do. I assume that may be a discussion that we will have going forward as to whether or not we want to proceed, given that we have $7 billion to spend. That can be enough runway to get us through this administration. So we could remove that as a checkpoint. Is that a fair assessment?
Yes, that is something that is being evaluated in different scenarios on paths to move forward. I think Tom mentioned that we'd be bringing that to in June discussions timeframe as we're looking into that. So that is something that will be evaluated and brought back to the board.
I think the worst thing we could do is just pause the whole thing for a period of time. We have to figure out a way to move forward, in my opinion, but I appreciate
Agreed,
the update.
yes.
Thank you so much. We have a motion and a second, so all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
And that was 3, so motion carries 3-0. And thank you for being here. Obviously, for those of us who sit on the board, we've heard this report. We're hoping we'd have a few more people here to give some input from San Jose's side, but certainly we'd appreciate the annual report.
Thank you.
All right, we're on to our third item on today's agenda, which is the Bike Plan 2025 and Trail Network Annual Report. Hold that for this. All right, Sarah, gonna kick us off?
Hey, good afternoon. We're excited to be here today to present the Bike Plan and Trail Network Annual Report. My name is Sarah Sellers. I'm the Division Manager for the Capital Improvement Program in Parks, Recreation, and Neighborhood Services. Joining me in the box today is Liz Sewell, Trails Program Manager, Ramses Madhu, Division Manager for Department of Transportation, and Ryan Smith, the Active Transportation Program Manager. Before we get started, I wanted to highlight how great this partnership is. As many of you know, our dedicated Class 1 trails are opportunistic in nature, often following waterways and former railroad corridors. By partnering with DOT, we're able to view a holistic network of active transportation which connects trails to on-street bike lanes to provide routes across the city. Today we're going to look at updates for each program and the combined efforts. With that, I'm going to hand it over to Liz to kick off the presentation.
Thank you, Sarah. My name is Liz. Again, I'm from the Parks Department, and I work again with our Department of Transportation to coordinate bike lanes and other on-street infrastructure with our off-street trail network to make sure that people in the city of San Jose can get around pretty seamlessly without the use of motorized vehicles. Next slide. Oh, sorry. Thanks, Ramses. So today we're going to go over I'll be reviewing the trail network implementation status, and then Ryan will review the bike plan implementation status, and then we will go over any questions you have. So this slide, we review it every year during this annual report, and it shows the progress we're making toward the full implementation of the 100-mile trail network. So overall, the trail development activities, including planning, procurement, design, grant writing, real estate acquisition, it results in about 1 mile of trail being built per year. This last year, we did complete 2 miles of trail, and actually our final site visit was this morning, so I was out on a trail this morning doing a quick review, and there's a couple of things we need to finalize before opening that trail to the public, but we are very close. So again, technically the city did complete 2 miles of trail this year, and I'll share them now. Oops. So this map shows the Coyote Creek Trail, and it's color-coded. So in orange, you can see the trails that were completed or almost completed. In blue are the trails that are in another phase of planning, and in green are the trails that are open. So starting at the northern end in orange, you see the Mayberry to Watson Park section of the Coyote Creek Trail. So that will connect Berryessa BART to Watson Park. And that is almost complete. We had a final site visit a couple weeks ago, and there's a couple of remaining details that we have to flesh out before opening it to the public, but it is very close. The next section down in light blue is Watson Park to Julian. We're finalizing procurement for design of that portion of trail. And then if you follow that blue line, the green line is complete, and it goes from William Street now all the way down to Morgan Hill. So that's an 18-mile completed section of trail, which is took the collaboration and coordination of so many city departments and outside agencies. But that orange section that you see at the southern end of this map is the portion of trail that we did a final walk through today. And that will be opened hopefully within the next couple of weeks as well. And you can see on the left is Mayberry to Empire, and on the right is Phelan to Tully. So they've kind of got different, they're optically different. Mayberry's more of an urban feeling trail, and the Phelan to Tully is more of a rural feeling trail. But they're both getting use already, even though they're not technically opened. So this year we are kicking off quite a few trail projects. The design of Coyote Creek, Watson Park to Julian Street, as I mentioned, was shown in the last slide. Five Wounds Trail from Santa Clara to Story. We are beginning master planning and environmental for that project. In CD5, we'll hopefully be beginning design of Lower Silver Creek. There are a couple of regulatory agencies that we need to continue working with and get initial approvals from before we kick off design, but we are hopeful. And in 9, we have the design of the Guadalupe River Trail, for which we're finalizing procurement for that project as well, and we hope to kick it off in the next couple of months. So this is just an overall map that I'll review pretty quickly. It just shows the grand scheme of things and what we hope to have completed within the next 5 years. We can't guarantee any completion within the next 5 years just because of the way that trails work and the things that can kind of pop up and halt a project. But hopefully the blue segments will be completed or at least well on their way to completion before 2030. Also, as we have beefed up our staffing, we have kind of kicked off signage improvement projects. So this slide shows proposed signage projects that we worked on with our Department of Transportation folks. Those are in pink, and there's significant improvements that are being proposed. And in blue, you can see improvements that have been completed. So all along Penitentiary and some of Guadalupe have been completed. And with that, I will hand it to Ryan.
Thank you, Liz, and thank you, council members. So we're going to shift over to discussion of our on-street bikeways network, specifically the implementation status of our bike plan. These first two slides are going to give background on the plan, and this is something we share every year during this report. And then I'll share accomplishments from 2024, followed by some key upcoming projects. So just really quick background on our bike plan for everyone's benefit. In October 2020, City Council adopted a new bike plan, Better Bike Plan 2025, with 3 high-level goals: safety in our bike network, aligned with our Vision Zero goals; equity in planning, project development and implementation; and mode shift, aligned with our general plan and climate smart goals. The vision is a 550-mile on-street network for people of all ages and abilities and backgrounds to bike in San Jose, comprised primarily of protected bikeways and bike boulevards. And while the plan focuses on the on-street network, as Liz and Sarah both mentioned, the on-street network and the trails network really complement each other and provide residents with a single interconnected system. And the 2 primary bikeway types in our bike plan, something I've shared in the past, are protected bikeways, which we see on the left, and bike boulevards, which we see on the right. So just a couple of examples of different types. Protected bikeways, as seen on the left, are designed for exclusive use of people riding bikes and feature some kind of vertical physical separation from moving traffic, and they're typically on higher volume streets. We use quick build materials like you see in the upper left on Quimby Road, and we can use permanent concrete and landscaping materials, which you see at the bottom left on San Fernando Street. And then bike boulevards, which are seen on the right, are typically lower vehicle streets using elements to calm vehicle speeds and emphasize bike use, though they are shared spaces. And this is San Antonio Street in the upper right with a traffic circle and some markings, and San Fernando Street on the bottom with traffic diversion. Okay, so the next 2 slides will provide an overview of work completed in 2024. 2024 was our most successful and prolific year in terms of building out our bikeways network. 2024 saw a major leap in network implementation, particularly with protected bikeways and bike boulevards. And much of this work was accomplished via our pavement maintenance program and by use of one-time grants. The map shows the geographic spread across the city of all of this work in 2024. Pink showing the new bikeway segments we built, and blue showing where we were able to upgrade existing ones. In 2024, the city installed 7.4 miles of new bikeways and enhanced 32.8 miles of existing. New and enhanced mileage together added 29.7 miles of new protected bikeways, more than doubling all previous year's efforts combined. And we also added 4.4 miles of new bike boulevards, which moves us much closer to our goal of completing our bike plan. We have 48 miles of protected bikeways of the 350 planned, 20 miles of bike boulevards of the 100 planned. We have 484 miles total of bikeways, although this includes basic paint-only bikeways. So a lot happened in 2024. Some of the key things include 11 new bike boulevards. This is part of the grant-funded East San Jose Multimodal Transportation Improvement Plan, also known as Movimiento San Jose, providing low-stress connections between East San Jose and downtown. The photo on the upper left is Camaro Avenue in the Mayfair neighborhood, as an example. As I mentioned, 29.7 new miles of protected bikeways. This is on 41 corridors in all 10 council districts. Upper right photo is Almaden Boulevard, which used more quick build materials. Same with the bottom left is Murphy Avenue in North San Jose, also using quick build materials. We also completed 6 lane reductions across the city. The bottom right is Taylor Street, but we also did this on Moore Park Avenue, Snell Avenue, Vista Park Drive, and Winfield Boulevard, and part of Almaden, where we took streets that were 4 lanes and converted them to 2 with bike lanes. Okay, now I want to share some upcoming projects. So the next 2 slides will have a few key upcoming projects. First, DOT has an exciting set of projects currently under development in the downtown area called Better Bikeways Phase 2. These are going to upgrade several miles of the quick build bikeways, the green bollards we see throughout the downtown area, replacing them with permanent materials such as concrete islands, 3rd, 4th, San Salvador, and San Fernando in the downtown core near San Jose State, plus Taylor and Mayberry connecting up to the Berryessa BART station. And you can see kind of before and after examples of this on the top of the screen. Additionally, we're going to upgrade the existing painted bike lanes in the Spartan Keys neighborhood south of downtown to Bike Boulevard frontage lanes, similar to 10th and 11th Street, which is shown at the bottom. These are funded from state and federal grant programs, and the planning and design outreach have been occurring over the last couple of years, with anticipated construction starting summer and fall this year. And then continuing upcoming projects, Story Keys Complete Streets project will convert existing bike lanes between 3rd and Keys and Story and King to a protected bikeway. The project's also going to feature upgrades for people walking and taking transit. This project follows the Story Keys Complete Street study completed by VTA in 2018, and the photos show examples, Keys at the top and Story at the bottom. The design examples are from the VTA study. And this project's fully funded for construction with $36 million in federal and state funds. Construction is anticipated to begin in 2027. Speaking of Story and Keys, we want to give a shout out to Viva Calle coming up this Sunday, led by the Parks Department. The 10th anniversary will include the entire project segment for this project in the route. Very excited about that. I'm sorry. Go backwards. I'll just mention that our annual pavement maintenance program continues to be the best way for us to implement on-street bikeways cost effectively. We're in the process of developing the bikeways we'll implement with our pavement maintenance program this year, which will be typically implemented in the fall. We also have several planning grants to help us develop improvements across the city for people biking. Notably, we have funding from VTA to do a study similar to that was completed on Story Keys, continuing from King all the way to Clayton on Story. Additionally, we are currently conducting a study funded by Caltrans to make improvements to help residents use bikes in the vicinity of the Guadalupe River Trail during flood events when portions of the trail are impassable. We're also pursuing funds to update our bike plan. The update will not create a new plan or a new bikeways network or redo any work we've already done, but rather would help us identify policies and programs to help us continue to achieve our goals. We recently applied for state funding for that and expect to hear back in August. Second to last slide, I'm going to talk a little bit about our funding strategies. As I mentioned, we use Quick Build to get our network in place as quickly and cost effectively as possible, with the goal of upgrading these as soon as funding becomes available to something more permanent like concrete, focusing where there's the highest need and where we're expected to see the quickest shift to more people using bikes first. The bike plan is unfunded. We only have one guaranteed non-competitive funding source, which we receive about $1 million annually from the state, a number that varies each year as its state sales tax. And as such, we must compete with other agencies for limited funding. Implementation also occurs by leveraging other city efforts. Pavement maintenance is the big one. We also coordinate very closely with the Vision Zero program and their projects. We work with the regional highway projects and coordinate with private development. And then also mention the cost of the bike plan range from $236 million to $370 million for the network as adopted by council. And this range is based on, quick build versus permanent materials. But despite, the available funding sources, there's a significant shortfall. And then finally, I want to touch on some of the operational challenges we're having and just share some of what we've done to try to address this. So as we continue to build out our on-street network, concerns have increased regarding competing right-of-way uses, especially with collections set out along bikeway corridors. So staff from DOT and from the Department of Environmental Services have been coordinating pretty closely on this together for the last year. And I just want to share some examples of what our two departments have been doing to coordinate. So we are now reviewing new bikeway designs for potential set-out conflicts as we develop our programs each year. We've made a lot of improvements, especially in downtown for dumpster set-out. We've been coordinating on educational materials. An example is the Environmental Services Department's 2024 set-out guidelines, which included updated photos to help people better put things out in the street for collection where there's bikeway corridors. And we're also working on identifying locations for a potential pilot to do additional targeted outreach for set-out education, and that's going to be based on locations from community feedback that both of our departments have received. And that concludes our presentation. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Let's start with public comment.
Thank you. We have 2 requests to speak. Diane and Jordan, please make your way down to the podium.
Again, good afternoon. I'm Diane Solomon here on behalf of your Bicycle and Pedestrian Advisory Committee. We wholeheartedly support our city's goal of building a high-quality, interconnected network of on-street bikeways and off-street trails. This advances our city's humanitarian and climate-smart goals for safety, equity, and transportation mode shifts away from automobiles and other large motorized vehicles. We appreciate that this plan has been implemented in coordination with the DOT's pavement maintenance program, the Vision Zero program, and regional highway projects. We're clear that funding for this plan has been a huge challenge because the cost of road diets, new bikeways, new trails, new paving, and their maintenance and repair are very high. And because these projects aren't capital budgeted, our city must compete for federal, state, and local grant funding to achieve Bike Plan 2025's goals. Despite this fiscal year's financial shortfalls, we urge this committee to do whatever is necessary to stay on track for the completion of Bike Plan's 2025 most noble goals. And thank you for this plan. Thank you for our staff member, Ryan, and thank you for our council liaison member, Representative Kyle Lavaroni, and thank you for making San Jose a great place to live.
Thank you. Next speaker.
Jordan Moldow, District 3, speaking on my own behalf. Thank you for the report. I'm very excited about all the trails. I've visited them both. They look great. I'm excited for the next rounds. 2 things I hope we could maybe hear about in future years' presentations. One would be the maintenance aspect, which I believe is handled by a different team. It'd be nice to be able to hear from that team and talk about how do we address drainage and cleaning the trails after storms. And also grade crossings. Some of the trails, and the Penitentiary Creek Trail in particular, have at-grade crossings with dangerous roads. Penitentiary Creek, I think, crosses 4 Vision Zero corridors between BART and Alum Rock Park, and none of them are pleasant, and if there's anything we can do to upgrade those, that could be something to think about as funding becomes available. On the bike plan, I'm very excited about the progress and folding it into the pavement program. I still think there's a lot more that we could be doing on that front. We have a complete streets design guide that we follow during implementation of bikeway projects, and I've been asking Ryan if it's possible for us to update that because it's about 7 years old, and there's been a lot of better design practices that have come out in those 7 years that I think we should be taking advantage of so that we're spending our money most effectively. And look for 2-for-1 efficiencies. While we're paving these roads and adding bikeways, we could also be adding daylighting and bike parking at the same time so that we don't have to come back in a few years and add daylighting and such. Finally, I want to call attention to the policies part. There's a part that talks about how we want to incentivize the right infrastructure, and part of that is making sure that biking is easy. Right now, if I want to use a Bay Wheels bike, it costs $4 to unlock and then 30 cents per minute, whereas we give 90 minutes.
Thank you. Back to the committee.
All right, thank you. We will start with Councilmember Ortiz.
Thank you, Chair. I want to just start by thanking staff for their great presentation. Definitely exciting, as well as I want to thank you guys for your continued attention to the health and safety of East San Jose residents, including the Story Keys Complete Streets project, which is very exciting. And then something that's very exciting to me is the funding for the Lower Silver Creek Trail project, which would be the first trail in District 5, city official trail. So really happy about that. Definitely want to make sure that by the time I'm done with my terms, that project is on the way, and hopefully we could do a ribbon cutting. Who knows? But a lot of opportunity there. I do have a question on the Measure B funding secured for the multimodal improvements on Story Road, east of the planned Complete Streets project. I wanted to ask if you could speak more to the scope of the project. Is this an additional Complete Streets, or is this something that's going to be a little bit more streamlined?
There we go. Thank you for the question, Councilmember. This is an addition, right? So this is extending the corridor beyond what is already planned and going under construction planning right now, and extending it further east to make sure that we're integrating the whole corridor into that Complete Streets vision.
That's great. And what is that, if you could just talk a little bit about what that process will be like?
Yeah, just like all of our Complete Streets work, it's a community-based effort. We go out, we always start with community leadership interviews, try to bring together those who are active in the community to help us plan through it. We then work with, this is still kind of high level, conceptual planning. So then we work with a consultant to come up with concepts, work with your office or whoever council members' offices who want to be involved in it, and those public groups, and then internal stakeholders, as well as usually VTA and other major institutional stakeholders, to create an initial vision and then concepts that meet that vision. And then we go through a cycle or two of revision on those based on the input. And then usually we could come back here or to council if we need to adopt those. And that's kind of the process in a very short nutshell.
What does the timeline look like for that?
Usually it takes a year and a half to 2 years to get through all of that. We try to do it faster when we can. But a lot of the time is in the process of making sure that we're actually producing the right kinds of materials to work with the public, right? It's easy for us engineers and planners to get lost in our detail, and translating that out, making sure folks can actually engage, takes a lot of work. And then setting up all those meetings and getting it all done is honestly most of the time that takes. But yeah, that's about right.
That's great. I'd love to partner as you guys are doing that outreach. I know it's going all the way to Clayton, right? The project's going to be going all the way to Clayton Road. There's a charter school that's right there, National Hispanic, well, it used to be the National Hispanic University. Now it's a Hispanic Foundation for Education Excellence. There's been a few scares in regards to traffic in front of that school. I'd love to maybe see if we could maybe we could even have a meeting at that school, since it's right there off Story, to get some good feedback.
Looking forward to working with you.
All right, thank you.
All right, Vice Mayor, go ahead.
Sorry. Thank you for the presentation. Really liked hearing the updates about the trails and the bike plan. Liz, I have a couple questions for you about the Guadalupe Trail. As you might imagine, I would ask about that. We've been talking about that for a long time, and unlike Councilmember Ortiz, who has a little bit more time than me, I only have 1 year and 9 months. Is it likely we will be making progress on that in that time frame?
So thank you for that question, Council Member. We have been working together for the duration of my employment with the city on moving this trail forward. And we started, when I began, we had to refinalize the master plan. And then we received some funding, and now we're going through procurement for design. So we do hope to get that design complete to 95% and have at least site into construction over the next 2 years. We're hoping actually over the next 1 year to complete 95% design. But that said, stuff can always come up with trails. This one has been pretty thoroughly vetted. So again, we hope that design will be complete in the next 12 months and we'll be able to move forward into construction. But yeah, that can always be kind of up in the air as well. And I'm also happy to have a conversation with you offline if you'd like to ask any other questions.
I think that would be helpful. I appreciate that. I did want to ask, that is also the area of the Valley Water Resources Protection Zone. So are you working with them on the unhoused around the Guadalupe River and the EIH that's going in, and then the trail will just enhance all of that area? So is there coordination with Valley Water?
We do coordinate with Valley Water's permitting team, and I am aware of the EIH and all of the work that's going on in that area to make it better. But I don't work directly with our Beautify team or the Valley Water maintenance teams.
Okay. You look like you wanted to say something.
I was just going to add, we're going to just have a quick check-in now that you mentioned it, because as Liz mentioned, lots of different teams in motion, lots of different teams of Valley Water. So thank you for the note, because that did just click off one of my light bulbs to make sure we're checking in on their progress. So
Okay,
thanks.
great, thank you. I'm glad I triggered a thought process of checking in, because there are a lot of people working on the EIH and Valley Water, the Water Resources Protection Zone, and the bike plan, or the trail they all go together to really make that area accessible and beautiful, and the neighbors, all of them will be very happy when it gets through. I do have a couple of questions about the Better Bike Plan. And one thing, there's enforcement of the bike lane obstacles, trash in the bike lanes and waste bins, parked cars, that sort of thing. There's a implementation of AB 361 that allows us to install cameras. Have we considered doing that? Are we thinking about that? And if so, where might that go?
We have been looking at that. We've been talking with VTA in particular about it, because it is potentially on the front of the transit vehicles that can help us do it. There are some technical questions about how tickets can be processed and charged through what the bill allows that we haven't been able to figure out just yet. But we are very interested in seeing that happen, because, as you know, we don't have enough enforcement muscle to kind of do the enforcement through our officers. And being able to write tickets without an officer present is a pretty big deal. So we are continuing to look at it. We don't have an answer on it yet.
Thank you. I would be curious how that progresses, and working with VTA, how we might be able to help make that happen. I think it's important. You have the same people, the same businesses probably, who are putting out their yard waste in the bike path and putting out their garbage cans, and worse yet, when it's a commercial property, putting out their garbage cans or whatever they are. Thank you, bins. Becomes a lot more dangerous, especially when their bicyclists are passing them in the nighttime and don't see that they're in their bike lane. So anything we can do to make those bike lanes safer, but I'm just curious. I suspect that it's the same people who are always creating the problem. So if we could even shame them into better behavior, I don't know if that works. Works with me. I don't know if it works with them. Funding is a huge issue for the Better Bike Plan, and we have a lot of really nice bike lanes. That some of them are being built as we do the road diets, as we narrow the streets, we put in the bollards. But after a few years, the bollards get old. The drivers who don't like them there knock them down, and they have to be replaced. Do we have funding to continually maintain those, and how do we maintain our protected bike lanes like that?
So the estimate is about 10% go a year, right? So you do need to keep those up. There is some funding in the maintenance budget to keep up with them, and we do have teams who do take calls to try and keep up with it. But as you can imagine, as budgets are getting tighter, these kinds of things can kind of fall on the edges. So right now we're still okay when we're keeping them maintained. And again, we have teams who are able to respond, and we have a whole bunch of extra bollards sitting in storage right now. We just got a grant for those. So it's working right now.
Okay, always need more money, and it sounds like grants and are uncertain, but we're doing the best that we can with the money we have, and I appreciate it. And Diane, I just want to thank you for shouting out both Ryan and my staff, Kyle Lavaroni, for his involvement with the Bike Ped Commission. With that, I'll move approval or acceptance of the report.
Second.
All right. Just wanted to highlight one thing. When I look at this map, and I see it says San Jose Trail Network potential construction. Potential is in all caps. So I assume that that's a warning to us that this is sort of our dream, but that hitting these goals by 2030 is still questionable.
Yes, that's correct. We're all hopeful, but we just want to curb people's enthusiasm a bit.
So the map kind of does highlight what's always been a concern of mine, which is that east-west is not as easy as north-south. Right. We have north-south natural corridors. We have some trails from the East Hills to Coyote Creek, but getting from Coyote Creek to Guadalupe River, the things in between is not as easy. In the north part of the city, and I raised this several times, getting people across 880 is very difficult. But I am encouraged by this map that shows a vision for Coyote Creek to have a trail, because you could get to Coyote Creek and then go north and then get off where you need to go in North San Jose. But I see that on this, the blue, which is the 2030 trails, is Tasman to Montague, but there's a large gap that then will remain from Montague to BART, and that's in orange, which basically, I assume when it says planned trail in orange, that's beyond 2030, sometime even further in the future? Or is that sooner than 2030?
Thank you. Yes, that would be likely further into the future. The Tasman to Montague is already built as an interim trail, so what we're looking for there is paving and a few other smaller details. For the other sections between Montague and the flea market, there are a couple of bridges that we would need to build, and there's also significant right-of-way issues with that we would need to kind of work on with, for example, our real estate team.
Yeah, I was wondering. I guess I
others.
hadn't seen what a plan is. It would be great to see what that looks like. But
sure.
But obviously, we won't really have that good connectivity over to North San Jose without that section being done, and that's years off according to this. So I just want to flag that, I guess, as part of the conversation. Not sure there's more to say about that, but just...
I'll just add, when we got the Bike Plan 2025 approved, one of the primary messages we got from council was work on east-west connections. And you can see a lot of our project selection in that plan's milieu is trying to fill out the same direction that you're bringing up now, right? And the Trails Network and the on-street network are intended as a single system. I mean, everyone likes to be on a trail. It's a nicer environment always. But we are kind of we're trying to fill in those gaps through the bike plan as well.
Right, and we haven't come up with a good solution for the cross of 880 on the on-street network yet. So even that part is still, and maybe we can count on work at Montague 880 interchange with a dedicated separated bike lane to actually come sooner than this orange section of the trail here. But that will certainly help if we can get people to Guadalupe River on Montague with a lane that looks like what we now have done at Trimble and 101. So I know that's in the works. Okay. All right, thank you. Now we'll move on to a vote. All in favor, say aye.
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 All right, motion carries 3-0. Thank you all. We're on to our fourth item today. Jeff is going to update us on our water supply.
I lost one member. All right, well, thank you. Good afternoon. Jeff Provenzano, Director, Environmental Services Department, and with me is Eric Dunleavy, Deputy Director of Purified Water and Regulatory Affairs. Our item today is just a status update on water supply. We don't have a presentation, but we'll do a quick verbal report and then be available for any questions. Eric.
Thank you, committee members, and thank you, Jeff. Eric Dunleavy, Deputy Director for Regulatory Affairs and Purified Water and ESD. I'll start us out with a verbal update on the Purified Water Program, which is a collaborative program with Valley Water. This is an exciting program that's going to take a portion of the treated wastewater from the regional wastewater facility and purify it for the purposes of potable water supply. So in August of 2024, Valley Water and the city entered into a master agreement which provides city staff support through funding from Valley Water to pay for city staff support to help support this purified water program that is Valley Water's project. So it allows for technical and logistical support and coordination by city staff, and pays for us to conduct ongoing negotiations with them for current and future agreements related to various phases of Valley Water's Purified Water Program aspirations, and provides support for regulatory coordination, review, strategy development, and developing a pathway towards management of the waste streams that are generated from a purified water process that uses reverse osmosis technology and generates a waste stream. So developing the pathway towards managing that waste stream and disposing of that waste stream appropriately. So where we're at right now is we are actually focused on a direct potable reuse demonstration facility, which is a necessary step that Valley Water needs to take in order to evaluate the feasibility and acceptability of the advanced treatment technology needed to meet the newly adopted direct potable reuse regulations that were passed by the state in October of 2024. So we are helping support the, this project, the direct potable reuse demonstration facility, will support the permitting and helping to demonstrate we can meet the regulatory requirements. It will also help us investigate any data gaps, which will involve conducting a number of different studies. Last count I heard was 27, but it's probably even more than that, to investigate the impacts of the new treatment train, and that includes, like I said, the management of the reverse osmosis concentrate, looking at costs of various options, impacts to water quality, any effects on bond capacity, and even potable water system capacity constraints. The demonstration facility will also provide a visitor center to support public outreach and education to inform the public of the safety of purified water and provide opportunities to actually sample the water as well. So that's an important component of advancing any kind of purified water program for direct potable reuse. So to accomplish this, we are currently modifying 3 existing agreements, and these agreements allowed for the construction, operation, maintenance, and put the revenue sharing framework for the existing purification center, the Silicon Valley Advanced Water Purification Center, which currently takes up to 10 MGD of regional wastewater facility treated water, purifies it, produces up to 8 MGD, and it puts that into the non-potable recycled South Bay water system, along with treated wastewater from the regional wastewater facility. So those 3 agreements are the operations and maintenance agreement, the ground lease and land use agreement, and the integration agreement. And the integration agreement is what determines the cost share and revenue sharing. So we are pretty darn close with all 3 of those agreements. I'd say between the 3, we're anywhere from 95 to 100% agreement with Valley Water. We've come to terms with almost all of the business terms, and now it's really just dotting the I's and crossing the T's and making sure everything is legally okay. So our attorneys and their attorneys are also have been involved in this process throughout. Demonstration facility is likely, the actual construction and operation of it is probably about 3 years, maybe as long as 5 years away from full construction and operation. And then that would need to be operational for at least 2 years. And then the follow-on, assuming all of those studies that I mentioned point the way towards feasibility of a full-scale facility, this would all lead to Valley Water envisions a full-scale DPR facility that would produce up to 24 MGD of purified water for direct potable reuse. And that would send that purified water directly into the potable water distribution system. For context, that's probably about 10%, maybe a little bit more of their overall water supply needs. Valley Water has not begun design of the full-scale facility, so at this point it's conceptual and aspirational, but we're putting in the steps needed to lay the groundwork for that. Procurement of a technical consultant team by Valley Water is expected to be assembled later this year, and the planning work for the full-scale facility would begin after that. That's it for the purified water program update. I will turn it back to Jeff for the other 2 updates.
Thank you, Eric. The second item in that memo is a technical feasibility study on a South Bay, San Francisco South Bay desalination project. Valley Water had previously completed a high-level feasibility study, and this would be a deep dive in how that potential project could be constructed, the cost and the feasibility and the environmental impact. And we'll be working with Valley Water as they proceed with that study. And then the last item in the memo, back in August, we signed in an amended agreement with San Jose Water Company to agree to sell San Jose Water Company an additional 5,000 acre-feet of recycled water. That's in line with our previous goals to increase usage by about 10 to 15,000 acre-feet a year. 5,000 acre-feet is the equivalent of about 3% of our San Jose water supply. So it's not a large amount, but it offsets potable water usage and saves that water for drinking. So that agreement is in place. San Jose Water Company's next steps are to look at doing a long-term master plan for recycled water expansion and then slowly build out that system over the next 10 years. And with that, we are available for questions.
All right, thank you so much. Doesn't look like we have any public comment remaining for this one. Okay, we'll go to Vice Mayor Foley first.
Thank you. Just briefly, thank you for the presentation, but I wanted to thank you for the briefing on Friday too. That was really helpful in me understanding what you were going to be presenting today. I appreciate that. And with that, I'll move acceptance of the report. Yeah.
Motion. All right. Well, thank you. I don't have much to add. I always appreciate that we're moving forward with purification and recycling. We need to close the loop as much as possible on water. I've said that over and over again. And water delivery in San Jose is a complicated business because we have 2 different wholesalers for water. We have 2 different water companies to deliver to our residents. And so I really appreciate the work that your teams do to make sure that we have safe, reliable sources of water for everyone in San Jose. So thank you.
Thank you.
With that, we'll move to a vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right, we have 3 ayes. Votes unanimous, 3-0. All right, number 5, today's agenda is our shoreline levy and sea level rise update.
All right, good afternoon. Jeff Provenzano, Director, Environmental Services Department, and with me is Kevin Ice, Director of Real Estate in the City Manager's Office. And today, we're here to talk to you about the Shoreline levy and a sea level rise status update. The South San Francisco Bay Shoreline Project, as a general background here, provides a 100-year coastal flood and risk management for parts of the lower South Bay, and for us, including Alviso, North San Jose, and protects a lot of our critical infrastructure in this area. Overall, the project will restore about 2,900 acres of former salt pond into tidal marsh, and also provide a South San Francisco Bay trail connection, connecting up all of these parcels as they get converted back into habitat, connecting a bike trail for residents to use. The project is, the main project sponsor and the manager of the project is the United States Army Corps of Engineers. Right now, the Corps has approximately $219 million awarded for this project. There's two local sponsors. One is the California Coastal Conservancy from a habitat restoration perspective, but then the local non-federal sponsor is Valley Water. And so the way that works, it's the cost of this project, anything above $219 million would need to be picked up by Valley Water as the local sponsor.
So, good afternoon, committee. Kevin Ice, Director of Real Estate, Assistant to the City Manager in the City Manager's Office of Economic Development and Cultural Affairs. The Regional Wastewater Facility, or RWF, owns land that the Shoreline Levy project must acquire to construct reaches 4 and 5 of the Shoreline Levy project. So that's the portion that spans across the northern boundary of the facility between Artesian Slough and Coyote Creek. The RWF is one of the largest advanced wastewater treatment plants in the western U.S., serving 8 cities in the region and 1.4 million residents. The City of San Jose is the majority owner and administrating agency of the plant, and the City of Santa Clara is a minority owner. City staff have focused on engaging the project to transfer the required property interests while ensuring the plant receives fair value for all assets and plant operations are protected. So the Army Corps bid out the project in 2021, and these bids came in well over estimates, which resulted in a significant funding shortfall. As a result, the Army Corps paused work on reaches 4 and 5. They did progress with reaches 1 through 3. However, project stakeholders, including the city and Valley Water, lobbied Congress for additional funding. And in 2023, the Army Corps was awarded an additional $91 million to bring the total, as Jeff mentioned, to $219 million in federal funding. The Army Corps has now restarted work on reaches 4 and 5 and is undertaking a value engineering exercise. This exercise has focused on reducing the cost to construct the project by utilizing existing high ground and constructing less new levee structure. This value engineering exercise is not complete at this time, so total project costs are not known. The RWF and the city have strong interest in collaborating to ensure project success. Coastal flooding and sea level rise are an existential threat to the RWF, Alviso, and parts of North San Jose. Shown here is the value engineering proposed realignment of reaches 4 and 5 of the project. Pond 18 is shown at the top of the picture, which is the majority of land that the project must acquire from the RWF. The legacy lagoons are below the pond, which are important to the project, and the lagoons that are north of the pink line are to be transferred to Valley Water to support the project. In the existing high ground that is highlighted in yellow will be utilized by the project. And that is the primary cost savings of the realignment, is that instead of constructing new levee along the white line, along the southern boundary of the pond, they will tie into the high ground that highlighted in yellow. The realignment is being evaluated by staff to ensure that our key elements of 100-year flood protection, public access, and protection of RWF operations are maintained. The revised project will further define the land interests that must be conveyed by the RWF to the city of, by the RWF and the city of San Jose, to Valley Water. Currently, the project requires approximately 895 acres in total from the RWF, as well as easements for access and construction staging, and a license for early access to begin stockpiling soil to be used as levee fill. Staff are focused to ensure that RWF operations will continue unimpeded both during and after construction, because the RWF is subject to regulatory obligations that must continue to be met at all times. Staff are also considering current and future capital projects to protect plant operations and ensure that construction access is provided in as safe a manner as possible. The result of this coordination is set out in an executed letter of intent agreement between the City of San Jose, City of Santa Clara, and Valley Water. This non-binding LOI will inform a binding memorandum of understanding for the project that staff are now negotiating, which will be presented to TPAC, Santa Clara's Council, and San Jose's Council for authorization. A key term of this MOU will focus on protecting RWF operations, in particular, design related to the operation of the RWF outfall channel, where 120 million gallons per day of treated water discharges into the bay. Other key terms include ensuring the RWF receives fair value for transferred assets, and establishing a method for Valley Water to compensate the plant by providing either cash or wetland mitigation credits for the cleanup of the RWF's legacy lagoons. The legacy lagoons predate the Clean Water Act and must be cleaned up, and this cleanup requires the RWF to secure roughly 60 acres of wetland mitigation credit. City and Valley Water staff are engaging project partners and the Water Board to secure credit from the project's ecological uplift to Pond A18 to offset the impacts of the Legacy Lagoons cleanup order. This payment flexibility could drive significant value for the RWF in a manner that limits the cash outlay for Valley Water and the project. This helps the effort that we all share in seeking to reduce costs to bring the project into budget and enable it to move forward. Staff will continue to engage Valley Water and the Army Corps to provide all necessary support and agreements on the project's timeline. The land transaction between the RWF and Valley Water cannot proceed until the Army Corps enters into a design and construction agreement with Valley Water, which is anticipated in the summer of 2026. With that, staff are available for questions.
Thank you. Do we have any members of the public? All right.
There's no request to speak.
All right, well, thank you for the update. Actually, there's some information here that I wasn't fully aware of, so I appreciate the update. I want to ask a question about, I think it's on the I don't know what slide number it is. Well, we're the map which shows the difference between the white line and the blue line. The white line, what you're suggesting is that because of the Zanker and 9-par landfills, that those are elevated and therefore can be natural parts of the levee without needing to go around the current pond? Is that where the ponds are currently?
Sure. Yes, that's correct. And looking at the original white line alignment, that was one of the original focuses. The cost was escalating based off of their experiences in building the other reaches around Alviso. So with those that learning experience in mind, they were looking at using high ground, which is those landfills, as the sea level rise boundary. So part of that, of course, is how far does the garbage extend out underneath the toe of the landfill and leachate and a bunch of other engineering challenges that come along with using landfill as a sea level rise buffer. And that's where the Corps is right now, is evaluating those unknowns.
Okay. And the current reaches that are being done how do they tie, I mean, they would have tied into where the white line ends on the left. Where do they tie in how do they get down to protecting that all the way down to the landfill area?
There is a green, if you see Artesian Slough there, there's a green line on the left-hand side that would go from approximately where the current one ends. It would pick it up there.
Oh, so there would be some levy there, the green levy.
The green levy.
I see, okay. And that's where the outflow from that Artesian Slough is where the outflow comes from the plant, right? And
That's
that has to
correct.
be built in where the green levy is to make sure that it can still flow out to the bay.
Correct.
Okay, appreciate that. So we had I don't remember when it was, a month or two ago, Valley Water was meeting to discuss the reallocation of some money that was supposed to be used up in the northern part of the county near Palo Alto, because that project is less crucial than this one, and they had voted to reallocate money to the Alviso levies. Is that correct?
Yes.
And is that part of this 219, or is that in addition to that?
The 219 is the Corps of Engineers. That is their federal award. Valley Water would have to come up with the remainder for as a local sponsor. Their primary funding source is that tax measure that they collect, and it's correct. The levy up into some of the cities in the county, heading up the peninsula there. Those levees the Corps has to determine don't need to be constructed for another 30 to 40 years. That's why some of the money that was originally allocated there got moved down to this project. Even then, there is a funding shortfall that Valley Water is looking at for this Shoreline project. And that's why they're focused so intently on value engineering, tying into the landfills and finding any other cost-saving measures that they can.
So even with that reallocation, we're not fully funded for the project, and that's what's being worked on now is to use the current money Valley Water had set aside, plus the Army Corps money, plus the new money that came from northern levies, and then making sure that we can get it all done under that cost structure.
I think even with that, there's a funding gap.
Right.
And Valley Water is looking at financing for the remainder of it.
Okay, I appreciate that. All right, go ahead.
There's a funding gap for the current estimates, but we're all waiting for the Army Corps to come out with those final numbers.
Right.
And then at that point, Valley Water will nail down their plans.
Great, we'll get an update at that time, or I'll certainly, my office will be interested in an update at that time. All right, do we have a motion to accept this report?
Move for approval.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right, that's 3-0. Thank you so much for the update.
Thank you.
And we're on to our final item today, which is our city-generated tow services status report. I think Rachel and
This isn't related to the RV tow. No. That's
Good afternoon. My name is Rachel Roberts, and I'm the Deputy Director of Code Enforcement. Presenting with me today is Namrata Batra Agarwal, Product and Products Manager with the Information Technology Department. Also here in the box with us, we have Rosanna Carrasco, Tow Program Manager, and Lieutenant Jermaine Thomas with the Police Department. And we're here today to present to you the city-generated tow services model status report. So the purpose of today's presentation is to provide you with the status report and the status report on the contract services implementation. To provide some context and background, city-generated tows are tows requested by city departments to remove a vehicle from public property, which is primarily happening through either the Police Department, Department of Transportation, or Housing. In January 2019, City Council accepted the audit of towing services, including 17 recommendations, and the administration's plan to address those recommendations. The administration's plan included 4 primary goals: address all audit recommendations, develop a new city-generated tow services model, develop and issue a request for proposal for a new tow services model and award of contract, and transition the new program model and oversight from the Planning, Building, and Code Enforcement Division to the Police Department. Between January 2019 and August of 2023, staff worked diligently to improve tow operations and address the 17 recommendations, including City Council approval of 6 amendments to the tow services contracts to improve tow performance and service delivery until a new program model was in place. Since August of 2023, staff has taken critical steps to implement the new tow service model and complete the 4 primary goals. In August of 2023, City Council awarded a tow administration contract to Artura to manage tow operator contracts, monitor performance, and enhance service delivery. Artura's services also included tow management software, providing real-time tracking of tows and a public portal to locate vehicles and pay fees. On March 4th of 2024, staff provided an update to this committee on the administration's progress in achieving those 4 primary goals, noting that all but 1 audit recommendation had been implemented and that the onboarding of Artura was underway. From March of that year until February 2025, staff established a cross-departmental team, including the Police Department, Department of Transportation, Code Enforcement, and our ITD department, and began implementation, including requirement gathering, software integration, testing, and training, all while maintaining our daily tow operations. In January of this year, a dedicated senior analyst was hired to oversee the tow program with the Police Department. This addition strengthened program oversight and accountability. And then in February of 2025, the team successfully launched the first phase of the new tow service model, implementing key software systems for tow tracking and management, improving transparency and efficiency in tow service operations. Next, Namrata will share key accomplishments, operational enhancements, and challenges since implementation of the new model and software, as well as our next steps.
Thank you. Some of the key accomplishments of this project are: the project introduced a third-party vendor to oversee and manage city-generated towing operations. This includes managing contracts with tow providers, ensuring compliance with city requirements, and supplying the necessary infrastructure, tools, and staffing to support efficient service delivery. Additionally, a new cloud-based tow management software system has been implemented to track towed vehicles from tow dispatch to vehicle release. This technology enables the city to administer and oversee the tow program more effectively. The city transitioned away from city-managed tow operations, addressing key audit recommendations and improving overall efficiency. The new model ensures a structured approach to resolving refused tows and specialized tow requests while integrating advanced data collection and analytics. Additionally, online service capabilities were expanded through partnerships with vendors, enhancing service delivery and oversight. It addressed long-standing operational challenges by implementing a new structured contract that increases service flexibility, strengthens vendor accountability, and enables data-driven decision support where the city identified past issues and where blight and lived-in vehicle issues have created new needs for the city of San Jose. The project introduced several key system improvements, including enhanced data tracking for towed vehicles, automated billing to streamline financial processes, and advanced reporting tools to support operational oversight. The program shows strong early results. Between the Phase 1 go-live of February 3rd and March 15, 2025, a total of 1,051 vehicles were successfully towed, 400 vehicles were released, and 7 lived-in vehicles were relocated to safe parking sites under the new system. Next slide, please. The new model has also created operational enhancements, like the program has enabled the transition from using a 3-page manual CHP 180 towing slip to a streamlined 1-page digital tow slip. This new process encourages tow slips to be submitted online and attached to the vehicle record, improving efficiency and reducing paperwork. The digital system enhances accuracy and enables faster processing of towed vehicles. Officers can now monitor assigned tow trucks in real time using mobile devices and MDCs, just like you can track an Uber. This capability enhances coordination and ensures timely responses to towing requests. Real-time tracking also improves efficiency and accountability in tow truck operations. The system enables end-to-end tracking of towed vehicles, capturing key details such as vehicle information, tow reason, tow slip, photos of the vehicle, associated violations, and fees. This comprehensive data tracking improves record keeping and ensures transparency in the towing process. By maintaining detailed logs, the system enhances accountability and facilitates more efficient towed vehicle management. The system includes automated functionalities to streamline billing functions, ensuring accurate and efficient financial management. This automation reduces manual work, minimizes errors, and enhances accountability in the billing process. The system now offers in-depth performance insights through advanced reporting tools. Regular reports track key metrics, highlight trends, and will support data-driven decision-making. The oversight of the tow program has successfully transitioned from PBCE to San Jose PD for improved management and enforcement. Next slide, please. Some of the early challenges encountered were system-related challenges like a software notification failure caused errors in vehicle storage and impound records, leading to operational challenges. As a result, some towed vehicles were not properly logged, creating discrepancies in tracking and enforcement. To address this issue, a temporary manual verification process was implemented by SJPD to double-check all vehicle impounds. This additional layer of oversight ensured accuracy while the software issue was being investigated and resolved. Moving forward, system enhancements and stricter monitoring will help prevent similar failures. Tow company compliance challenges. Some tow companies refuse to tow oversized vehicles, leading to service gaps and delays. This non-compliance impacted enforcement efforts and the efficient removal of large vehicles. To address the issue, coordination with vendors has been strengthened to ensure compliance and improve towing capacity. Operational adjustments like adding more tow providers to the vendor pool of tow providers are also being made to streamline processes and prevent future disruptions. Let's look at what's next. Phase 2, we are targeting April 2025 for the work on Phase 2 to begin once all the open issues are resolved. A dedicated public portal will be introduced to improve transparency and accessibility for residents. This portal aims to enhance the overall customer experience and will allow users to find information about their towed vehicles online. Customized reports will provide more detailed insights into tow operations and performance metrics. These reports will help track key data points, identify trends, and support data-driven decision-making. Improved reporting will also increase accountability and operational efficiency. Ongoing improvements. The program will continue evolving with regular updates and enhancements based on operational feedback. Ongoing adjustments will ensure the system remains responsive to emerging needs and challenges. This iterative approach will help maintain efficiency and effectiveness. Continued system monitoring will be maintained to quickly detect and address any technical or operational issues. Regular oversight will help prevent failures and optimize system performance. Proactive monitoring will also enhance service reliability and user satisfaction. The program's effectiveness will be assessed through periodic performance evaluations. Key metrics such as response times and compliance rates will inform necessary adjustments to improve overall efficiency. Further system refinements will be implemented to enhance functionality and user experience. These refinements will address any inefficiencies, streamline workflows, and optimize processes. A thorough budget assessment will be conducted to ensure the long-term sustainability of tow operations. Financial planning will focus on balancing operational costs with available resources. Strategies will be developed to maintain fiscal responsibility while supporting program growth. I'm going to hand it back to Rachel to take us through the next 2 slides.
Thank you. So in conclusion, we are very pleased to report that the team has now successfully completed the 4 primary goals. We've addressed all 17 tow audit recommendations. We have completed the RFP and awarded the new contract to Artura. With the launch of Phase 1 in February, the new city-generated tow service delivery model was implemented, and with the onboarding of the senior analyst to oversee the tow contract and the police department, the program has transitioned from code enforcement to the police department. So this brings us to the end of our presentation, and we are available to answer any questions you may have.
All right, well, thank you so much for the update. I'll just confirm that there's no public comment. All right, do we have any comments or questions from the rest of the committee? You have a motion to accept the report?
Move to accept.
Second. All right, we have a motion and a second. Let me ask you a question. There was the comment that said something like 1,000 and something tows. That was from February of 2024 until March of this year. That was in 1 month. So just since February of 2025 through what, mid-March?
That is correct.
So like in 6 weeks, that was over 1,000 tows.
Mhm.
Wow, that's a big change over what we've experienced in the past. When a vehicle gets towed and brought to a yard, I mean, presumably a fraction, you said there was something like 400 have been released. So that means 400 have been claimed, but another 700 are not. I guess I don't remember the number exactly, but like 600 of them have not, nobody's coming to claim them?
Good afternoon. My name's Rosanna. I'm the new tow program manager with SJPD. Thank you for your question, Chairperson. It could mean a variable of things. It could be that perhaps maybe the vehicle was in a collision where the insurance is going to pick it up, so the registered owner no longer has possession of it. So they basically get rid of all their rights to it. It could also be that there's an investigative hold on the vehicle, so that's another reason why it hasn't been released yet. It could also mean that they are in the process of, they just don't want it. The cost to retrieve it outweighs more of what the vehicle is worth, so they leave it in the yard.
Understood. Okay, and so what's the policy that is in place about how long a vehicle has to be held? Presumably at some point the tow yard sells it for scrap or does something else with it, right? So is there a policy about how long it has to remain there?
Thank you for your question. It could be, they can start the lien process after 15 days, so it could take anywhere between 30 to 45 days for it to go throughout the entire process,
okay.
The lien process.
Has this been, given that number of vehicles, are these tow contracts, do they have the space for this? I mean, is this something that's working out for them?
Thank you, Councilmember. So actually, on average, well, prior to COVID, we were averaging about 15,000 tows a year annually for city-generated tows, and then post-COVID, it's gone down a little bit, but it's still in the range of like anywhere from 11 to 13,000 tows annually, I believe. So the 1,000 number actually is pretty on par with that, and the operators are used to that volume, but as we noted in the presentation, that one of the advantages of having the third-party contract now is that they can actually bring in additional tow operators if they find that the numbers are increasing and it's a challenge for them to meet the demand.
Pre-COVID is pre my time, so I guess I wasn't aware that that numbers were that high before in terms of the number of tows. Thank you for that. And I see the 7 lived-in vehicles were towed to the safe parking site. I think probably this was an early number because many more were towed in the last couple weeks. And we're also going to see what happens next week as we begin on some of the olive streets to start. Well, we've already done that at a couple of olive streets, but we'll be towing more non-compliant vehicles from some of those olive sites. So we'll be watching for sure. Okay, I guess that's it for questions. All in favor of accepting the report, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right, that's 3 ayes. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you so much for the report. That brings us to open forum. It looks like we don't have any open forum. We are adjourned. We will have a special time and date for our next meeting on Monday, May 19th in the morning for the May T&E meeting. So we will see you then. Thank you.